of a 90-day challenge. We called it the New Year, New Body, because we are launching it from January 1st to March 31st. And we wanted to the associates and customers to try our great product, the Switch capsule with the weight management system. And we have a very special guest tonight that I'm very happy that is here today to share some important things with the Switch, the whole system in all. But first, I want to actually pass it on to Olga. With this launch, we're asking people to commit, like for a purchase of 3 months on auto ship with the Switch capsules. And we wanted to make sure that people are getting really good results. So we thought about creating also a Facebook group that people could have access to so we can support each other. So I'll let Janet and Olga, we'll start with Olga first. If you're ready, Olga, if you want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing in the Facebook group, and then we'll get back to Janet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sylvie. Everyone can hear me? Awesome. Good evening, everybody. And I'm so excited about this program, actually. If you don't know much about me quickly, I've been involved in fitness for a really long time. I've had my own weight loss journey, but as always, we always want to strive for better. And when I found out that I was going to be working with these fine ladies on this campaign, I got just super excited because this is what I needed for myself to kind of kick myself in the behind on the next journey of where I want to take myself in my fitness level. So we created a Facebook group because number one, accountability is super, super important. You can do things on your own up to a certain point, but then when you end up hitting struggles, it's always nice to be able to speak to somebody and ask for their advice and vice versa. And just knowing that other people are going through the same journey as you are, or the same struggles, that you're not alone. And so we decided to create this group, number one, for accountability, also to help people because, it's all about creating habits too and sharing with people ways of being able to do that. We all have our own little expertise, and we're going to be bringing that to the table and sharing people what has worked for us and what we know. So we're excited about doing that because many people, unfortunately, lacking in that area, or they just don't know where to even start. So we're there to guide them and help them. And we're going to be posting daily with posts, with different quotes, with lives a few times a week that we'll be sharing with people when they will be going on. And also we'll have, obviously people will have more than many chances to ask questions, and everyone's going to be able, whoever's comfortable, of course, will be able to share their story. And that way we can all relate to each other, because when you hear other people's stories, you find, again, you're not alone, or you can easily relate with that person if they've lost this much weight or that much weight, or if they've been struggling for so long with whether it's an eating habit or a craving, which I struggle with that, and so it's going to be really, really exciting. And so I'm going to pass it over to Janet, who's going to speak a little bit more about just what else it will be entailed in the group.
Okay, awesome. Well, I just wanted to let you guys know it is starting January 1st. And for 90 days, and so it'll be going to March 31st. But we decided last night that we would continue till April the 30th. And the reason why is because if people order their shipment beginning of January, it won't get to people till mid-January. So they'll have a little bit of a later start. So having said that, they'll just have that extra few weeks to finish their 90 days. Olga, Sylvie, and I have started as of Monday. And I tell you, it's phenomenal. My cravings have gone down like almost 90%. So I'm not snacking. I'm eating a lot less. And this will be exciting to share to people. And I think the 90 days is really exciting because I just heard a podcast, actually, I'll just tell you guys really quickly, the Law of 100. And Jerry Seinfeld used this Law of 100. You do something for 100 days and do it consistently every single day. So that's going to create a habit. And then from there, I believe that people will stay on a maintenance, which is, one pill 20 minutes before rather than two. So I've done that before. I don't know why I got off, but I'm excited to get back on. So what the 90-day challenge, the preparation. So we're going to take before and after pictures. So the before pictures would be back, front, side on the left, right. We would be taking measurements. So we'd be measuring our arms, your wrists, your chest, your waist, your hips, and around your thighs. So you take one of those soft measuring tapes, and of course you step on the scale. And you don't have to share your results per se, but you'll keep them for yourself, because after the 90 days, you will see your results. So, and then we ask everyone to commit to 3 months worth of the Meta Switch. So that's 90 days. So I'm encouraging people to order their like one shipment of 3 months rather than it coming once every month. So yeah, that's about it. I'll pass you on to Sylvie. She's going to be talking about the Facebook private group that she's created. She's put together a beautiful Facebook page, and we have a few people in there. Now, just keep in mind too, the people in this group that are exclusively purchase the product. So you'll have to put your ID number when you go to, you'll either get invited, or if you invite yourself in, you'll have to share your ID. So to get approved into the group. So go ahead, Sylvie.
Okay, all right, thanks. So I'm gonna share, whoops, not this one, where is it? Yeah, oh, where did it go? Oh, just 1 second, what did I do? Oh, this is, I have to move the bar. Okay, so we're taking a look here at the group that we created. We sat together, we did a lot of brain, just writing down ideas and to think what could really help the people when they join in this challenge. So we've got a Facebook created, a Facebook group. So it's a private group. So only the people that are in the group will be able to see what is shared in the group. I need to move this, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, what happened here again? I need to move this. I'm sorry, guys. Let me try that again. I'm really sorry. I opened the pages before, but something happened. Okay, so what can I see? Can you guys see the page, but I can't get it to move? Oh, okay, let me go back. I'm really sorry about this. Okay, so we're in the page now. This is what I wanted to shut down. Okay, so the group is called Turn On Your Meta Switch. And so whenever you purchase your product for 3 months, you can enter the group and get access to all the beautiful information that we are going to be sharing with you. And once you get into the group, what we did is we have created files. So in the files section, what you will find is all the tools that you need, the cookbooks, the tracking sheets for taking your measurements. You will also have a tracking sheet for your food as you're eating along. I'm also going to include in here an exercise to really help you figure out, like, why is it important for you to lose weight? It's different for every person, but there's a good exercise in there to complete. And we'll give you like a step-by-step guide to really help you get started, and lots of tricks to also make sure that you plan ahead of time, that you have your recipes chosen and everything. So if you're looking for a file, something that you need to download for your measurements or everything, you will find that in the file sections right here. We also created guides. Okay, so in the guides, we are going to be regrouping all the information so that if you're looking for something, it'll be easier for you to find. So we created like the guide number 1, which is the introduction to the Meta Switch. And I'm really happy to have this part here because we have Bobby Horn, who is going to come and introduce the product, the benefits of the products, the science behind it all. And it's going to be in the guide number 1. So if you need to re-listen to it, you just have to go there and you can find all the information. And then we were going to do a welcome video, me, Olga, and Janet, to explain to you, okay, what's the first step you need to do? We'll introduce ourselves, who we are, and why we think we can be of help to you. So that's going to be in the guide number 2. And we created a special section for testimonials. So right now we have one. This is somebody that has already used the switch for a period of 12 weeks before. She's a customer of Janet's, so she was kind enough to let us use her before and after pictures. So any testimonials that we can gather, you will find them there. So if you need inspiration, you need to be motivated, you can find it in the guide number 3. Guide number 4, any information you're looking on nutrition tips, like what are carbs, what are fibers, protein, why do we need it, how much do we need, anything that's related to nutrition, you will find in guide number 4. And then we have training. We also have Mireille that couldn't be with us tonight, but she's going to be she's going to be working with the 3 of us also. So any tips for training? We do have an exercise program that is part of the Max Weight Loss Management Program. So we will have access to the videos so we can actually do the training. But if some of you want to try something different, yoga or things like that, we'll be giving you tips here in this guide with the training. And then we have a special guide for recipes, because even after we're finished our weight management program, or we probably want to keep up our good healthy habits. So we're going to have a section here. So whenever we come up with a good healthy recipe, we'll post it in there. So if you want to get a copy, you'll have access to it. And if we need to create more guides, we'll create them as we go along. But we encourage people to come in daily. Just pop in, get the support that you need, or if you just come in and give support to somebody else that's having a bit of a struggle. But we all know the power of a group. We all do better when we actually are part of the same common goal. So it'll be a good spot for you to come. We know it's hard. Sometimes we want to start eating healthy, changing our habits. It takes time. We know habits, they're practical because we don't have to think about it and anything. We're just going on automation. But when we want to change habits, it takes time to put them in and let them settle and become a new habit. So you might not have the support at home. Maybe you're going to be doing it alone. Maybe your spouse doesn't want to follow the program with you. So we know these are challenges. So if you come here, get the support you need and really stick to it, and you'll see the results that will happen. So we're happy to have this group there just for the people that are going to be using the challenge for the 90 days. And so I'm going to stop sharing this part here. And I'm sorry if it was a bit chunky here. And Janet, I want you to introduce our special guest, Bobby.
Had to unmute myself. Yeah, I would like to give a warm welcome to Bobby Horn. She's a very special person. She's an exceptional speaker. She's a health coach. She is a DNA specialist. And did I miss anything, Bobby?
No, that's all you need to say.
And I'll give it all to you because you're the expert.
Oh, you're so kind. And thank you so much for inviting me to participate tonight. This is always a special group, keeping in mind that I grew up in Canada. So, it's always nice to hear the Canadian, the cadence of the Canadian speech, which I always appreciate. So just makes me feel like I'm at home again. Sylvia, if it's possible to ultimately share my screen, that would probably be, so it would be basically the material I sent you earlier so that we can kind of walk through it pretty carefully. If you're controlling it, I can't. So is it possible for me to share my screen?
Yes, I think you do. Kristen, I think you can make her as a co-host.
Yeah, she is a co-host, so she can share her screen and have complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will work. Can everyone see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I was really fortunate when MetaSwitch was first introduced, because I was one of the folks that participated in the beta group. Gosh, I'd like to tell you what year that was. It was probably 2011. I think that's probably pretty close. And it was really fun to be able to do that. I started to participate, I think, 3 months before the product actually launched at the corporate convention. And my experience was pretty profound. As a DNA practitioner, I know that there are certain genes that cause you to snack. There are certain genes that cause you to not feel satisfied when you eat. And if any of you are like me, sometimes that was maybe, having a little snack an hour after I'd eaten, maybe wanting to have something sweet, always looking for dessert. Yeah. Or just never feeling as though you had really eaten a complete meal. And there is that gene is called the FTO gene, often referred to as the fatso gene by those of us who do DNA work. And it, willpower does not play a role in this. And the one thing I learned very quickly, and I didn't know this until actually I'd had my DNA done after this convention. I collected the saliva sample while I was there. My friend Sue Barron took it back to Australia for evaluation. And turns out that that fatso gene was something that was plaguing me forever. I didn't know it. What was really interesting, and I have to tell you a very quick story. I ran into the bathroom one day and my husband was in the shower and I said, Dan, this is a really important question. Have you ever driven 5 miles out of your way to go buy a piece of chocolate or have an ice cream cone or something that you just absolutely could not live without? Now, my husband is rail thin. He looked at me like I was insane. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, okay, so you've never driven down the freeway and taken the next exit so you could turn around and drive back so that you could go to the local, to get an ice cream cone or a piece of chocolate. He said, I really don't know what you're talking about. Now, I've asked that same question in groups of women where that question has come up and I've said, okay, who here has ever done this? And if it's a group of women, almost everyone raises their hands. It's just really interesting. That FTO gene, and Janet, I see your hand, that FTO gene is really tough to deal with. It has nothing whatsoever to do with willpower. It's a genetic polymorphism or mutation that causes that. And it causes us not to be able to always feel satiated or comfortable with what we've had to eat. Now, the reason that that's important to you is that I had probably been on the MetaSwitch products for about 3 months by the time I had my DNA done. And I just really did not understand why. All of a sudden, I had no cravings. Now, I was the girl who had a chocolate bar in the bathroom, hidden away at all times, primarily because my mother would come and spend every other weekend with me. And she caused me so much stress that I would find myself in the bathroom having a piece of chocolate. After I started taking the Switch product, all of a sudden I didn't have that craving anymore, and I didn't understand it. I also was not as interested in having a glass of wine at night. Things changed. So why? So if we go through just kind of the metabolism of what happens when you stimulate the AMPK pathway, this is a perfect pictorial. It's probably a little bit larger than it needs to be for you to be able to see it. But this is a perfect pictorial, and I've made this available to Sylvie so that she can share it with everyone. I gave her all of my notes for today so that you would have tools that you could use. But this is a perfect explanation of why the Switch capsules work so well. Now, we no longer have the fiber component, so I've actually included it in my notes, how you could actually add fiber to your diet so that you can kind of fill in the gaps there. Because what I've discovered is that most of us don't eat enough fiber, and that's part of the struggle. What I did discover when I started taking the Switch capsules is that I actually craved fiber. And I don't know if anybody else that's ever been on the compound has actually experienced the same thing, but this was put together very meticulously by Dr. Nagasawa. This is an incredible formulation, and we're going to go very quickly through the components because you'll have this document available to you, so you don't really necessarily need me to go through it. But one of the problems with weight loss, and you will find that there are some weight loss products on the market, or they were on the market, that actually depleted muscle. It caused people to lose weight too quickly, and it depleted muscle, including heart muscle. And I have I had a close friend whose husband went into cardiac arrest when he tried that, pink drink product that unfortunately caused him to lose weight too quickly, including heart muscle. And sadly, he did not survive. the reason that the switch capsules are so important is that it helps you maintain your heart muscle. It helps you maintain all of your muscle, because as we age, it's a lot harder. And when we lose weight, oftentimes we're losing muscle. And Olga can speak to this, I know, because you probably have worked with clients who have lost weight and their muscle tone is just dreadful. And so when we have this formulation, actually helps us maintain lean muscle. And I can tell you that I'm at an age where, lean muscle is really important. Part of the reason it occupies half of the space of fat. So, a pound of fat and a pound of muscle weigh exactly the same thing, but one occupies half the space. So we want that lean muscle to help us burn fat. So maintaining, skeletal muscles is extremely important. And then the other piece of it is actually maintaining insulin secretion. I think everyone who's ever started on the ribosine compounds know that you actually improve insulin sensitivity. And when you maintain insulin sensitivity, it's easier to lose weight. It's just very, very simple. I actually had a cardiologist who said to me, I don't understand this. She said, I started on Celgevity and all of a sudden I'm losing weight. Why is that? And I said, well, you're improving insulin sensitivity. And she said, that makes sense. She got it. The liver is extremely important to weight loss. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but you'll be able to go through these notes and understand all of this if you don't catch it right now. But the liver is extremely important. That's part of the reason why ribosine is included in this formulation. So activating that AMPK pathway is really important, for so many reasons. And I've given you all the reasons here that you can go through. Obviously, in the liver, you want to maintain the ability to get rid of cholesterol. That's extremely important anytime you're on a weight loss system. We talked about glucose and insulin sensitivity. We talked about insulin secretion as well, but it's extremely important for weight loss. When you activate the AMPK pathway, it helps to reduce cravings. And there are a couple of components in here. And as you notice, it genetically, the switch formula silences that FTO gene. So craving and satiety improve dramatically. Part of the reason I love this is it is heart healthy and it is stimulant free, which is extremely important because your goal is to be able to properly metabolize the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in your diet. And when I coach and train people, and especially people who are diabetic, about proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, I will always define carbohydrates. Those are your green carbs. Those are your carbohydrates that come from fruits and vegetables, and also your whole grains. And I'll show you some of the whole grains that you should add to your diet so that you can make sure that you are maintaining that proper balance. This does not include anything that comes out of a box or a package because those are processed. So we try to control that. Obviously, the components of switch are really important in that alpha lipoic acid is part of the formulation. It's a really, really powerful antioxidant, and it does help to maintain metabolism. It will also help with, because it's both water and fat soluble, it really enables every cell in the body to be able to utilize it. And that's kind of one of those really nice keys. So this AMPK pathway is just extremely important. You will hear some people pronounce that the MK pathway or AMPK pathway. AMPK is fine too. You can use whatever terminology you like, but it helps to regulate cellular energy, metabolism, and even glutathione levels. So if you've noticed, alpha lipoic acid is also in the Celgevity formulation. So if you want to turn on those energy pathways, and if you've started on switch capsules already, you can tell that there's an increase in energy. I was absolutely astounded when I added switch, because one of the first things that I noticed was I started to sleep even more soundly at night. So if you've noticed an increase in your ability to sleep, and that you're sleeping very soundly with deeper sleep, possibly more dreaming, That is because of the alpha lipoic acid. So I'm going to let you guys go through this information on your own. I think it's really important information. This will be made available to everyone. But what your goal is to stimulate your metabolism in a very, very natural way. So it's not stimulatory. There are a lot of products out there that basically stimulate in such a way that they're not really doing your body any favors. They cause increased heart rate. And quite honestly, I openly admit I tried some things, in my earlier years that probably those were not terribly safe. I think you can remember, fen-phen was a fad probably 20 years ago. And my brother, who's a cardiologist, was absolutely horrified when he found that I had been using it for 3 months, and immediately suggested that I get to a cardiologist who happened to be his business partner. And so I went to that cardiologist, and sure enough, I had caused myself a mitral valve issue. So just know that this product line with Max is going to support your health rather than deteriorate your health, which is, safe weight loss is really important. And I'm going to kind of skip here a little bit because I don't want to take up the bulk of the time. I just realized that it's really important probably to understand about muscle loss and weight loss. We want you to maintain your muscle, and that's done through two components called leucine and citrulline. And that will help tremendously to maintain muscle tone. You will even find, and I know that several of you are rather on the thin side, starting this process, you will see body sculpting that you possibly have not seen for a while. And it was really interesting because, and I openly admit this one too, I was on a call with Joe Wojtycki and a couple of other folks who were actually getting some information back on how this was working. And I said, well, I have to tell you, there's the muscle definition, my abdomen. I don't think I've ever seen some of this before. It was kind of new to me, so I was a little bit surprised. And then, of course, at the convention, it was announced that there were people who were using this as bodybuilders, and that they were starting to get that lean muscle in such a way that they were a little surprised. I can honestly say I was probably even more surprised because I'd never seen it. So I tend to. I've always carried excess weight from the time I, probably was in puberty. So it's always been a problem for me. And this really does make a difference in leaning out the abdomen, which I really appreciate. And also, I think what Janet said about making sure that you do your measurements is really important, because sometimes that scale does not necessarily reflect where you are. I'm not always a big fan of using my scale every day, although I do it now. I can tell you with the use of Switch, plus a very, very regimented eating program, I've lost 25 pounds since June. Towards the end of June is when I got started. And I can tell you that it's made such a big difference, but I will give you some of the tips about what I've done. And quite honestly, I do weigh every day. And what I've learned through that process is it's never a straight line. I hope you guys know that. Weight loss is never a straight line. It goes a little bit up, it comes a little bit down. It might go a little bit up again, then it comes down. And it's just such an interesting chart. And I do chart this so I can actually see the ups and the downs. And then, you plateau for a while. Really, Switch helps you get through all of those times because you're not hungry. And that's what really makes a big difference. So as you're coaching your clients, you're going to find that it really makes a big difference that they're not hungry all the time and that they don't have those cravings. So this document is going to give you the Switch ingredients and why they're important. We've talked about most of them. Ribosine is really, really critical for a couple of reasons. As you lose fat, if there are toxins stored in the fat, you might feel a little fluish. Kind of like when you first started on Cellgevity, once you start to release toxins into your system, you have to, number one, drink adequate water, make sure you're hydrating constantly. But the other part of that is the toxins that are released from fat can stay in the system if you do not flush them out with supporting your glutathione levels. And of course, not everybody that was introduced to this product line was also taking Celgevity. I can tell you for men, being on Celgevity at least 1 month is all it took. 1 month prior to being on the switch was significant. So if somebody is already taking Celgevity, adding switch made a huge difference. And there were a lot of men that did not necessarily lose a lot of inches in the first month. They lost some, but it was month number 2 was when it really hit. So if you're coaching men through this, their experience might be a little bit different. For women, hormones play such a big role. And we have found, a lot of practitioners have found that using switch also helps with hormones. And it's really interesting. I believe absolutely in tracking the results and getting people to give you feedback on what they're experiencing. And also vitamin D, in order to maintain, to get rid of belly fat, vitamin D was included in this, and it really does make a difference. And also the B vitamins for energy. It makes a significant difference also in breaking down fats and carbohydrates so that you actually can experience lots of energy. Potassium is a key part of the formula, which I think again is really important. There are many people who don't get enough potassium in their food. Pantothenic acid is vitamin B5, and it's also really important for healthy cholesterol levels, and it also helps to support the immune system. So I've included some tips, and some of these tips are from really what I've learned over the past few months as I have been eating in a really, really clean way. Janet, you'll be pleased to know that I still have my glass of wine every night. I still can include that. I know. Janet and I have enjoyed a glass of wine over Zoom a couple of times. That's okay to admit, isn't it, Janet? So, obviously the tips include eating real food. Protein, really good quality protein. I have just incorporated so many nice pieces of fish and lean cuts of meat. I very seldom eat red meat any longer. It's mostly chicken and fish and pork, lean cuts of pork and seafood. I primarily love shrimp, and Janet can tell you I kind of turned her on to something called Slap Your Mama, which sprinkled on top of shrimp and roasted in the oven is just amazing. I always coach people to eliminate as many of the processed foods in their diet that they can. Processed foods, quite honestly, are most people's go-to for comfort, go-to for convenience, and it's probably the one place that we have the most calories and the most unhealthy food. And I see Olga nodding because she knows this. It's dreadful how many people turn to processed foods. And I've actually started to coach health professionals about this. And I will say, you probably ask your patients about processed foods, but they may not always understand that question. So the question is, what do you currently eat that comes out of a box or a package or anything that has a label to it? And when you start to ask that question, all of a sudden you realize that there are more things that you eat out of a box or a package than you really should be. I always encourage people to take 2 capsules 30 minutes before they eat, but listen to their body. So I did ask, when this was first formulated, I said, I don't really need the capsules first thing in the morning. So is it okay to break it up and do 3 capsules before lunch and 3 capsules before dinner? And one of the product formulators said, absolutely, you can do that. Give that a shot and see if you like it better. And I do. 3 capsules works perfectly for me. So I do 3 capsules before lunch, 3 capsules before dinner. And it just made a significant difference because I tend to eat like a ridiculously huge breakfast. Most of you would just look at me and go, really, you eat that much? I eat 3 eggs over easy every morning, and I put a ton of vegetables on top. Like it's sauteed zucchini, purple onion, asparagus, grape tomatoes, I mean, it's just this melange of gorgeous vegetables that I saute and put on top of my eggs. So trust me, I don't need the switch capsules in the morning, but I do need them at lunchtime at dinner time. So include lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. As you see, vegetables with eggs for breakfast is, I mean, that's my go-to breakfast. It's really fun that, you know, I learned to eat that way. It makes a big difference. I always have frozen fruits and vegetables. I always have frozen shrimp in the freezer. Have it at all times. I always have a variety of all of the proteins that I know I can have. If I eat any canned vegetables, I will always rinse them first, and that's a little trick. So if you're eating any canned green beans or canned corn or anything that comes out of a can, if you rinse it before you cook it or warm it up, makes all the difference in the sodium content. And, you know, obviously we'd like to reduce as much sodium as we can because most of us have way too much in our diet. I always suggest that people increase their fiber intake. Makes a really, really big difference when you're losing weight. Black beans, lentils, oatmeal, whole grains, flaxseed, include it where you can. Now, I kind of added flaxseed for a reason. You will have some of your clients that will want to do a lot of juicing or will want to make smoothies. Those can be extremely calorie dense. So kind of coach them a little bit on what they're doing with their smoothies. And I think we do have some recipes within the recipe book, if I remember correct, Sylvie, that in the recipe book that Max has provided, I believe that there are some smoothie recipes. Just be careful of too many fruits in those smoothies and make sure that they're primarily vegetables versus fruits. But if you throw in some flaxseed, it also does help. As I said before, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Make sure that you drink lots of water with Switch. Makes a really big difference. As far as exercise, you know, the recommendation now is walking for 30 minutes 3 times a week. Or if that is too difficult for someone starting out, break it up into 15-minute walks. Resistance exercise like resistance bands are absolutely wonderful. Yoga's wonderful. I'm sure Olga can coach everyone on what they should be doing here because that makes a big resistance, makes a really significant difference for your lean muscle, and it can help tone you in a hurry. So, and I always encourage people just to listen to their body. You know, as I said, weight loss doesn't occur in a straight line for anyone. You will find that there will be some people that will lose weight twice as fast as others. I think everyone here knows my age, so I'm not even going to say it out loud, but as you age, trust me, it does get a lot more difficult to lose weight. But when you happen upon something that actually starts to work, sticking to it is the consistency is the key, and Switch really helps us to be consistent. And so those are my tips. I always believe in using a measuring tape instead of just the scale, because the scale can be fickle, whereas a measuring tape really is going to give you a much better feel for where you are. And of course, how your clothes fit makes a big deal. Makes a great deal of difference. So was there anything else, Sylvie, that you wanted me to share, or was that good?
The one thing I was wondering is, because initially when they launched the program, we had the B bars, so we had like lots of soluble and insoluble fibers. And I was wondering, like even the books that we have with the recipes, I was wondering, how can we actually like include more fibers to make sure that we're compensating for the bars that we're not taking?
Well, that's where I included the black beans, the lentils, the oatmeal, the whole grains, and the flaxseed. And I can send you a list of all of the fibers that I tend to recommend to my clients. This was the original bar was called Curb, and I absolutely loved the Curb bars. They were really well formulated, but a lot of people said it was like eating cardboard. I happen to love them, so I was disappointed when they changed them out. But I will send you a list, most likely tomorrow, Sylvia. I'll update the list for you of some of the tools that I use when I'm doing my coaching. I wanted to provide you with something that you could use pretty easily. And if you need me to remove my name at the bottom so that you can utilize this on the team, I'm happy for you to do that.
Oh, no, definitely not. I mean, we were really happy that you actually came in and talked about the switch capsules, because even myself at first, we've heard about products that are on the market, and we've heard how, some of them can actually harm our health. So if we're going to be talking about the switch capsules, we want people to feel like they can trust the product, that it's a safe product. And we knew that you had the science behind it to understand it and explain it so they feel comfortable. Like right now, I'm using the switch, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's healthy for me, and I'm doing something good, and I'm helping myself with my weight loss. So no, I'm really happy that you actually joined in tonight. And I'm sure that I don't know if other people, I didn't have time to read if there were any questions maybe. But yeah, I love the information that you gave. I think it's going to be very useful to everybody. I think it brings confidence in the product. And we know Max usually comes up with, good stuff for us.
Well, this is a Dr. Nagasawa formulation, so it's safe and it's very effective. We can always trust his science.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for sharing. I'm really happy that you popped in tonight to give us a hand with the launch of this wonderful product.
My pleasure. And I'm going to take myself off of share so that you can have the screen back.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sure everybody here is happy to have all the information that we got from Bobby. And it's good that Chris actually recorded this so we can go back, and I will print out the sheets and have them available on the group, the Facebook group. So those that are participating, they'll have all the information and they can refer back to it. So that's really, really good. I'm really happy that you popped in, Bobby. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
All right. So is John on right now? Did he actually make it? Is he there?
He is here.
Okay, hi. So we also invited John, which is our Senior Vice President of Sales and General Manager of North America and Oceania. So we created the January campaign. We made just some small adjustments because after speaking to a lot of people, some of them mentioned, well, if before we order the product and we actually get it in our hands and we're able to start it, January 31st, it won't be 3 months for everybody, right? So we spoke with John yesterday, and we did agree that we were going to be opening the Facebook group, and it's going to be available until the end of April. All right, but we want people to take their measurements during like a 12-week period, and those that start earlier, well, you get an extra month on the product. And they were very kind and gracious to actually give us some prizes. And so I'm going to let John mention and talk to us about the prizes that he's going to be offering with the people that are actually going to participate in this 90-day challenge.
Well, thank you, Sylvie, and it's a pleasure once again to be with you all. I'm appreciative of the fact that many of you have seen my face all too often the last few days and weeks, and so I appreciate the invitation and thanks for your willingness to have me on. I am beyond thrilled with the efforts that all of you are going through with this campaign, as well as those that the entire teams in the Chris and Tammy organization are going about over these next 13 months. I think it will pay huge dividends. With regards to the prizes, we spoke last night, the core team who is managing this, and what we decided was just one prize probably didn't make sense, and there's several different categories that might make sense for us to consider. And so we came up with 3 different grand prizes, if you will. The first one being the individual who brings the most new customers into the Max fold using the Switch product and participating in this campaign. And so we will recognize that person in addition to the female that shows the greatest improvement through the campaign of the 120 days or plus, and the male who also has the greatest improvement. Now the way that will be graded and viewed will be distributed, I assume, Janet and Sylvie and Olga, through the Facebook page so everyone knows the specific rules. but more importantly, the actual prize is going to be of significant value. We're going to allow the winners of these prizes to have one of each of our Max products. All 6 of the products that Max currently offers will give each person one of those as a grand prize, or allow them to substitute. For example, if they don't need more Cellgevity or they don't want 357, the value will be of 6 products of their choice if they want to segment that down. I will send those to the winners, our compliments with Max, and make sure that everyone is also recognized in some way, shape, or form for participating in this. Now, the big announcement here is, and I think they schemed around this, Janet and Sylvia and Olga, they invited me to participate in the challenge. And so I've taken them up on their offer, and I have, however, excluded myself from being able to win the grand prizes. Okay. I will participate for fun, but I plan on winning this thing and taking Bobby's advice and counsel and recommendations to heart. And I look forward to April 30th and the weigh-in, the reconciliation of all of our great efforts. And I hope that as you go about bringing people into this new wonderful campaign, that literally hundreds and hundreds of people will join in, because I think this is going to be something that my belief is, to be honest with you, that there will be so many people enthused about what happens between now and April 30th, that Facebook group and this campaign will become a rolling 90 to 120 day campaign. Whether that happens or not, I think is irrelevant, but I suspect the success that's going to be had by so many people will force us into at least considering that. So I'm all in. I'll provide the grand prizes in those 3 categories. And I really look forward to being with all of you throughout this campaign and seeing you all in person very soon. So thank you, Janet, Sylvie, Olga, for including me. And I look forward to having regular updates as we see this program progress. And congratulations to you on all the work that you've done and this launch that's taking place tonight. So this is going to be an exciting time. Thank you, and all of my appreciation to each one of you.
All right. Yeah, we're all happy. And yeah, we know you already have a head start, right? You said you were already down 22 pounds, weren't you?
No, let me give you some advice. Now, Bobby's given you the things to do. Here's what not to do. Do not go on a family vacation to an all-inclusive Mexico resort. And do not get on a cruise ship between now and the end of the program, okay? Those are for verboten, we say in German, okay? We cannot do that. Now you can, but it's going to set you back. So before this, I was on a very strict program myself for about 2 months. I actually lost 22 pounds. And then I went on a vacation with my family to Cancun. And I gained 8 of those back. So, but I'm starting fresh and new after the holidays, and I'm all in for the 120 day campaign. All right.
All right.
I'm not going to cheat and start early like our 3 coordinators did. All right. I'm going to start at the beginning on January 1st. That way I can enjoy the holidays, and I'll have a bigger mass from which to lose.
That's good. That's good.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. And
My
thanks
privilege.
again, Olga. Yeah. So just as a last little notice, I have updated the flyer, because the last flyer that we had, we were talking about the meeting tonight, and now the meeting is done. So I have redone the flyer. I'm going to share the screen. Let me see if I get it right this time. All right. So I have included the flyer. So I did make the changes. If you notice where it says access the Facebook group, I wrote from the purchase of your product to April 30th. Okay, so you'll have plenty of time. So those that start in mid-January or even end of January, you'll still have your 90 days to go with it. And I have also added at the bottom, why can't I go to the bottom? Gee, I'm having problems with my screen. Okay, so I entered the prizes. Okay, so you can see that there are 3 prizes valued at over, $500 US each. So they are going to be 3 gift baskets containing 6 Max products of our choice. And we're going for the biggest transformation women, biggest transformation for the man, and the associate that brings the most new customers with the Switch program. All right, so we're really looking forward to having a lot of people participate so we can all support each other and be on our new health and wellness journey for the beginning of January. And I also left here, we know that there is an incentive that's going from until February 28th. So for every 500 increase in your personal business, you will also receive an extra $50 cash from Max. So this new flyer is going to be available, and all the information you need, like posts that are given from Max, so that we can actually post on Facebook, Instagram. They're all going to be in the activeteamgroup.com website. If you go into the documents, English, Canada, US, and go into the campaigns, and the information that you need to actually start spreading the word is all going to be there. So that was it for me. Janet or Olga, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, thank you guys all for joining in. And honestly, I think if we all do this together, it'd be so much fun. We could all take a before and we can all take an after, and it'd be a big surprise doing it as a community.
All right, good.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay, so I think that's it. So you guys, you can go think about it. And hope to see many of you join in and all get our health back on track starting January. So I hope you enjoyed it, and just go spread the good news.
Thank you. Thank you, John and Bobby.
Thank you,
Thank you very
and
much.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes.
Holidays.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
You too.